So I have a much better result now. So without the retouch layer it looks like this, and with the retouch layer it's much better. So we have a really nice selection now, and also the background. Maybe I only get rid of this part on the skin. I choose my mixer brush tool again, and I just simply soften this part. You see that the mixer brush is a really versatile tool, and you can apply it to many things in Photoshop. And again, just simply getting rid of noise by drawing over it with the mixer brush tool. And we are almost done. I only want to add a toning on the face and a reflection to the table. So I will create a new layer again, and I will fill this layer with 50% gray. To do that, I press the Shift Backspace keyboard shortcut and I choose 50% gray. And then I set the blend mode of this layer to soft light. Soft light blend mode will hide the 50% gray values, but if I start drawing with my brush onto this layer with white and black, I can add highlights and shadows just like with the dodge and burn tool, but non-destructively on a separate layer. I will use white on her face to add a little bit of highlight onto it, and then I use black on the edges to add shadows like this. I can also use it on her lips, just a little bit of shadows on her lips like this. And now if I turn this layer off, this is before and this is after. Maybe a little bit too much highlights here, so I use my black brush and I just draw over it like this. Now check before and after, and I think it's much better now. So it's also a completely non-destructive way to adding shadows and highlights. And I only need the reflection now. I will turn off the background layers. I click on this eye icon and I drag my mouse down to turn them all off. And I also turn off this layer, which I just named toning. So I turn that off. And I use my rectangular marquee tool and I make a selection of this part of the image. And I press Ctrl Alt Shift E or Command Option Shift E to create a copy. But I only want to use this part of the copy. So I also go to Layer, New, Layer via Cut. And I delete the part that I don't need. So now I have this part of the image on a separate layer. I can now turn back on the other layers. So I turn back on all the background layers. And I select this layer and name it Reflection. And I use my Free Transform, Edit Free Transform or Control Command T. And I will flip this vertically by dragging it down like this. I just stretch it out more and using my arrow keys to align it like that. I press enter. I will create a pixel mask on this, clicking on the Add Pixel Mask button, and I use my black brush and just draw away these parts because I don't need these parts on the reflection. To make it look like a reflection, I would like to use another mask with a gradient, but to be able to add 2 pixel masks to one layer, you need to group your layer, even if it's just one layer, group it with layer group option, group layers option, or Control Command G. and then onto that group you can apply a new pixel mask. And on this pixel mask I will use my gradient tool, and I just simply add a gradient like this, which will gradually fade out the reflection. So I have two masks applied to the same layer, two pixel masks. This is a nice way to do it. And if you group this group into a second group, you can add a third layer mask if you want. I also reduce the opacity of this layer just to make it more or less visible. Something like this. And we are done. So now let's have a look at the final result. So this is what we created, and everything is non-destructive here. So I can change whatever I want. For example, if I change my mind and if I want to change the background color, I can go back to my photo filter and double click on it and go to the swatch. And let's say if I want to use yellow or blue, for example, I can choose that color and click OK. And everything is on a separate layer, and the selection is with a mask. So from this point on, it's easy to change whatever I want. So let's have a final look now. I just change screen mode and I put it in full screen, the image. And we can check the original image, which was this, without the mask. And this is after. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, which I created for the amazing PSD Tuts Plus website. I will wait for your comments and your feedback, and see you in my next tutorial.